Hello, I am back. Did I go anywhere? Well, I went to the movies and I just saw Onward, the new Pixar movie. This will be like one of those just off the top of my head kind of thoughts. I feel like I kind of want to do these if I see a new movie that I'm into or strongly opposed to, I suppose. These are meant to be sort of quick and dirty, so take it for what it is. And maybe if you're interested in seeing the movie and hearing my opinion on it for whatever reason, here we go. It's a good movie. I would say it's on par with Inside Out. It's not Pixar's best work ever, but it's not a bad movie by any means at all. It's taken all of the boxes and made me tear up to almost 3 times. If you don't know what the movie is about, it's about a brother that's turning 16, the main character, who strangely looks exactly like the lead singer from AJR. Anyway, him and his brother get a gift from their dead dad, which is always super cheerful. I mean, we can't have an animated movie with all of the parents alive. That'd just be really weird, wouldn't it? It's a magical staff that brings the dad back to life for a day, but the spell goes wrong and only his legs show up. So they need a MacGuffin to complete the spell, and the D&D fanatic older brother dude takes them on an epic quest. Now, I will say, from an animation standpoint, I mean, it's Pixar, it's gonna be good, but I think that the animation on the legs of the dad is probably some of my favorite animation I've seen in a while. Because the character can see, he obviously doesn't know where he's putting his feet and he doesn't know what direction he's facing. So because the character can't see, he does a lot of little stumbles. There's a scene early on in the room, which is the part from the trailer where they summon the dad and only the legs show up, where he's taken a step back and he sort of steps onto a pen that's just sitting on the floor and he does a little stumble but catches himself. So good. That is perfect animation right there. And there's a lot of moments like that throughout the movie. A lot of even more subtle moments, such as the dad facing away from the conversation because he wouldn't know. He doesn't have any ears or eyes. He's just legs. He doesn't know which way he's facing. Adorable. Much like The Last Jedi, it's a movie about family, and that's what's so important. I'm not gonna spoil anything in terms of the story in this quick review, so don't worry. But if you do like these types of Pixar-style family movies, I do recommend watching it. Just try to go on an off day, I guess. My theater was only a third full and it was at the smaller screen because a Swedish dub was running on the big screen at the same time. Yet there was still a kid just a few seats over constantly asking their parents, "What's he saying?" because it was in English, and a guy right behind me going at every barely joke. Anyway, not the movie's fault. That's just my hatred of going to the cinema in general, butting up against my desire to see movies. I really did like, though, how all of the characters that the movie introduced to us were incorporated throughout the story. I would say traditionally in a movie like this, it's usually the parent's place to sit tight and worry. Looking back at Inside Out again as an example, when the child, I forget her name, runs away from home for a while, the parents aren't really active in this scenario, which works for that movie, but they sort of just wait around for the child to come back home, and it is a touching moment in that movie. But I really liked that all of the characters in this movie had something to do. All of them had their own sort of agency and storylines and quest lines. Like the mom in this case, she discovers that the kids are off on this journey, and she goes on her own quest that sort of diverges from theirs, but is still relevant to the plot of the movie. And I really liked that. I liked how they all had their things to do, and none of them sort of felt disjointed or removed from the main story. It all sort of connected and came together again. And that was really well handled, I think. I will say that the movie did dip a little bit towards the end of the second act, at least for me, but it does pick back up. There's a couple of moments where it sort of starts to feel like they're padding it out just to make the quest feel more epic or longer than it needed to be, but it does still serve a purpose for character development. It was just a little bit slower than I personally would have liked. There could have been some more interesting set pieces, especially because it is another road trip movie. Hey, remember Sonic? Remember how Sonic was a road trip movie? Yeah, this is another road trip movie. What's with road trip? Why is everyone doing road trip movies? I don't know, I can't drive. I'm probably just jealous. The magic in this movie, though, does look really cool. It's sort of Harry Potter-like, where you have to say a spell and really mean it and feel it and think it in your hearts of hearts. And the first spell that they use in the movie, other than summoning the dad, is the equivalent of Wingardium Leviosa, which I don't think is a reference to Harry Potter, but I'm gonna take it as a reference to Harry Potter, because if I can take a reference to Harry Potter from anything, I'm gonna. There's even a cute Gandalf reference at the very start of the movie where they do like a little montage of the history of the world and the characters within it. There's a guy that looks exactly like Gandalf, but he's a Cyclops, I think. He only had the one eye, and then they did a cool spell against a dragon in a little clip right at the very beginning of the movie. That was cute. The climax itself is a great combination of the different plot lines. I think they all sort of come together and unite in a satisfying way. And the movie introduces a threat fairly early on that does have a satisfying payoff as well. I won't spoil what happens or what it is, but the way they do it and build it up is really cool. And because the movie does have to appeal to kids as well, I think they did nail it when it comes to making something look scary and threatening, but also not really. And if you watch or have watched the movie, you probably get what I mean. Good on you, Pixar. Clever girl. Summing up emotionally, I guess, yeah, I'd say two big teary-eyed moments for me for sure. There's one that's sort of leading up to the finale, and then there's, of course, during the actual climax of the movie. I was definitely tearing up during those ones, not gonna lie. I was a little bit ruined by the kid asking their dad, what's he saying? Because the whole theater went dead silent, and then you just hear this child. Still got to me though. Honestly, I would even say there's a potential third sort of teary-eyed moment. Not necessarily teary-eyed, but definitely emotional. And this is regarding an inanimate object. I'm not gonna spoil it further than that, but if you see the movie, you probably pick up on what I mean. Chris Pratt as the older brother and Tom Holland as the younger brother both do a great job of voice acting. I think they have a great chemistry, and I think that was built up in part during their time together in the Marvel universe, but it totally works. They're not doing voices, so they do just sound like themselves. Tom Holland might be talking a little bit higher pitched just to sort of sound a little bit more teenage, but it totally works. Good on them. Fully believable. Visually, I will say that the movie as a whole is a little bit generic. There wasn't anything that blew my eyeballs away, like the opening to Kung Fu Panda 3 or the first Lego movie. I wish they'd pushed the cinematography a little bit further. There's no really inventive and creative shots. There's not really anything that you could only do in 3D that they do here. It's shot very much as if it was just a normal road trip movie shot in camera. On the flip side, shooting things as if in camera does also work. They did incorporate a couple of mounted camera shots, which I did definitely enjoy, meaning as if you've mounted a camera rig on a car and then you're driving. That stuff I liked. It fit the theme of what they were doing in that moment. Other than that though, there's not like anything that's visually mind-blowing. It's pretty, for sure. There's a shot at night with a police car in the background, and the volumetrics of the lighting and the refracting of the light through the hair and the skin of the characters in front of the police car looks fantastic. But it also just sort of looks generically fantastic, if that's even a thing. It looks good, but it doesn't wow you. It doesn't stick with you as, wow, man, that was so pretty, unfortunately. Still though, that is pretty much my only complaint. A little bit of a slow dip in the middle and a kind of a safe cinematography, but still, good movie, recommended. Go watch it in the cinema if you can. The only thing I will say that I didn't realize would be weird until I saw it as a whole movie is when you have a character that is only a lower half, because the eyeline of the character ends up being just his dick. 8 out of 11.